Hello, welcome to Boardgame Basecoats, and today we are unboxing Undaunted Normandy. Now this popped up on Amazon. I was shocked that the price was very reasonable, about 30 bucks. The other Undaunted game, the one set in Africa, was also there, but it's close to 50 for whatever reason, and yeah, didn't pull the trigger on that one. Recently, I've been buying more and more two-player games, so this was a welcome surprise. So I do know just a little bit about it, so cracking this open, let's go ahead and see what's inside. Now this is a scenario book, we'll check that out in a minute, but I like to go to rule books first, so there we go. Now if you look at the color so far, yeah, it looks kind of drab, but drab military, right? Alright guys, let's go ahead and see what we've got. Alright. Pretty clean and clear. What's going on here? Identifies our markers there. Great. What's going on with the tokens? Here's our setup. Now it's a scenario-based game, so the information in here really is just the basics of how to play, how each scenario goes. I'm sure would feel quite different. Alright, so we've got our combat actions there. Great. And an example round. Okay. Seems pretty clear. There's our game end and some info about our platoon. Alright, so here's our characters. Alright, so we've got the American side, the US troops, and then we've got the German troops on the other. Quick reference right there. I always prefer that to be on the back of the book, but whatever. So let's go ahead and check out the scenario book. Now this is a pretty thick book, and it's going to break down all of our scenarios here. And I can just imagine the replayability here. So this is our basic organization. This big old chart here would be our cards, identifying our tokens. Moving on, so as you can see, we've got this unified sort of look. Our tiles are down here. The tiles that make up the map are double-sided, that A side and the B side. Over here we've got our objectives, and a little bit of information, I guess, about the actual battles it might be based upon. Alright, and here's the map itself. So showing where the troops are, showing where objectives are, and control markers and all that good stuff. And as you can see, some of the maps are quite big, and some of the included cards and tokens. Wow, look at that. Looks like everything would be in this one. So definitely... so it can be scaled, but this is basically squadron level combat, alright? So might be interesting to see this on a larger scale, but for now I think this is pretty cool. So I'm very much into squadron based miniatures, skirmish games, so I think this will fit in very nicely. Alright, so we've got an ad here, always cool when they include that. Ooh, the Lost Expedition. Good game, good game. Alright, moving on. Punchboards, not so many in this game, but we've got two. This first one includes our US troops, and we've got lots of different double-sided tokens on here. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with the initiative marker. There's only one of these in the game. The target marker, don't know what that's for though. This radio marker, I assume for communications, and these next four are spawn markers, so where our troops can appear. Moving on, we've got the objective markers, and I think these numbers indicate victory points, okay? And I do believe that those are, I think they were double-sided with even different on both sides? No. These are the control markers, so you can control buildings, you can control areas, and I do believe it has something to do with movement as well. You have to scout an area to move into it. Alright, so with those out of the way, next up we have the troops. So these guys though are called combat counters. That is double-sided. The other side, the darker side, I think is the wounded side. I think that's what that was. Anyway, so there we go. We've got our US troops, and then we go ahead and move on to the Germans. So again, basically the same exact sort of thing with all the same tokens and markers. The only difference is this one right here. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it, but there's no need for a second initiative marker. Alright, let's see if I can remember the names here. This one would be the target marker or token. There's our radio. These are the spawning. As you can see here, the Germans have these higher values. Yeah, so they weren't double-sided with different numbers, so they just have the bigger ones here. And these are the control markers. Again, it's related to, I think just definitely for movement, but I think for some objectives too. I haven't read through the scenario book yet, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this comes together. All right. Finally, of course, we've got the troops, and as I pointed out there, the colors are different enough that even if they're in a big old pile there, it's not a big deal. That said, I will of course be separating everything so that I can just toss German player their stuff and the US player their stuff. Yeah, so you can see there, definite difference in color, so very clear. Next up, board tiles. It seemed for the longest time that I was mostly buying games with map tiles on them, because that was really something that attracted me. I really like maps, so this is kind of cool to be getting back to this. So looking at these, yep, okay, looks like they're all facing the same way, so let's check them out. So again, these are double-sided. We're checking out the A side right now, and as you can see here, some of the tiles do look similar, but I don't get that feeling of, like, you know, cut and paste digital chicanery. It definitely feels hand-drawn, so another very attractive element of the game. These tiles really do look awesome. So just looking at the scale of the cards, looking at our B side now, I think this might be like a Z scale. Oh, those look kind of similar. So it'd be kind of interesting, you know. There's no need to adorn these things, but, you know, let's say I want to mimic some other countryside thing, or maybe have an objective marker be even more important, you know, might get a Z-scale building or two and toss them on there. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so some very nice tiles. Moving on. Over here we've got some dice. Just some standard black 10-sided die. I'm really happy there's some dice chucking in the game, always appreciated. The chance to miss, the chance to hit. I'm not really into deterministic things, and war should be chaotic. We've got an insert here. Alright, so see, the cards just barely fit, so it's automatically gone because I'm going to be sleeving everything. Alright, so do we have a pull tab that works? No. Alright, so we'll go ahead and first take a look at the US cards. Now, one of the things that I've noticed about the game is the art. Now, I'm of two minds of it. I think it's okay. So obviously the backs there are different, which is cool. The art itself, I think it's okay. The cards themselves feel slippery. It's a card stock I'm really not familiar with. But if you look at these cards, look at the names. So mortar, mortar, mortar. So they might have the same name, the ability would be the same, but if you actually look at the pictures, they are slightly different. So they might be of a different race, so in the case of the Americans here, or just a different jawline, or slightly different skin tones, or different expression on their face. So this is cool. So while the art, okay, I'm okay with it. In the end, yeah, I think I'm a little bit more than okay with it, because it does have this difference. So it's kind of cool that they actually made the effort to make the cards just that little bit different. Now, the exception here is the Fog of War, which obviously shows a US soldier. So we're going to notice that discrepancy when we check out the Germans here. So let's quick see if their tab works. Nothing works ever since World War II. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get them open here. So this pack of cards is the German side. Very cool. Now, how does the game work? Oh, he looks like a smug dude, doesn't he? So what it is, you have your soldier tokens on the board, and those probably will not increase. The cards themselves kind of represent hit points, so as a token gets damaged, you would discard a card either from your hand, your discard, or your deck, and if you don't have one, it's dead. But also, too, you have this drafting, so you can draft more machine gunners, so then it pops up more and has more hit points. So that's a really interesting sort of feel. So that was really the biggest draw for me in getting the game. So yeah, so check it out. Shouldn't this with all their the details that they did on the characters, it seems weird that the Fog of War for the Germans doesn't show a German soldier. Or if they were just gonna, have the same image anyway, why not just have, fog? Anyway, in an otherwise very cool game with a lot of detail put into so many of the components, it seems so clean. That definitely was one of the only really weird standout thing. So, really looking forward to getting Undaunted on the table, and hopefully the other one will go down in price too. Thanks a lot. Bye.